Okay, it's recording.
Good. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Between Two Teachers for February the 12th. And my name is Consuelo Lara.
And I'm Madeline Cronenberg. And we're showing you more, hopefully you'll see some more graphics today of what we're talking about. So here we are, Between Two Teachers. And we say this every week, but we are giving our land acknowledgement for the Chochenyo Karkin Ohlone people. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral lands of the Muwekma Ohlone and Chochenyo Karkin Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and the present. So there it is. So I was gonna talk today about what's happening in education. And what's happening in education, it's so interesting. We are in West Contra Costa, we're about to go and take a week off, right? It is our winter break week. And people are very excited to do it because they're so exhausted. In Canada, they were supposed to take a break and they are postponing it because they believe their break is would create a problem and create more cases, more COVID cases for them. So they're not going to take their break until April. It's a big issue in Canada that they, which is interesting. It's just interesting to me because we have never discussed not taking the break. That had never even been a possibility. So there are a lot of different perspectives here. I found this and I just wanted to share this out because I thought this was so interesting. This is where schools are open in the United States, in-person schools as of the 9th. So all of the darker colored counties, this is actually by county. The darker colored counties are in person and the lighter colored counties are not. And so that's the national perspective of where children are in school. And you can see Florida's in school, Texas is in school, Montana's in school, Wyoming is all in school. I mean, this picture tells you exactly who's open and who's not. And now they finally have that. In New York, they're about to open their middle schools. And this week in Chicago, the teachers had a huge conversation with their district, but they are now back to work as well. They're back in school. Davis has done the most interesting thing. Davis has done something called Healthy Davis Together. And in Davis, what they're doing is they've had the university partner with the school district. And let's see if we can get. See this, working to prevent the spread of COVID. And what they're doing is they're doing testing. They're doing, I think they're also doing vaccinations with them and then put together, they give out free masks. They've done a tremendous amount of work with the university and the city, as well as the county and in the Davis school district and in the community. There's been a lot of coordination at Davis. They've become a national model of coordination. And then there are all the schools that have started to vaccinate their teachers. And there's a big number of them. But this is the one I wanted to show because I saw this today. This is who has reopened in the Bay Area. Okay. So let's look at this. In San Francisco, the public schools are distanced. The 113 private schools have reopened. In The other counties, so this is, for example, what we got here? Here it is, Marin County. Marin County is a very affluent county. So if you look at who's open in person, you've got Bolinas, you've got Laguna, you've got Lincoln Union, Nicasio, Ross, Sausalito, Marin. So that's all of those children are fully in, they're not hybrid, they're in person. So if you look at most of the school districts in Marin, they are either in person or hybrid. Whereas most of the school districts and also in San Mateo, there are some that are distance. There's a number that are hybrid. The ones that are in person, of course, Hillsborough is in person. And actually the rest of them are hybrid. I think Palo Alto is going to come back in person, but Palo Alto may not be in San Mateo. That's why I'm not seeing it. Palo Alto is here in Santa Clara. And, or maybe they're not. Los Gatos is here. Los Gatos is hybrid. You can just see as you look at all of the different districts, the thing that stands out is that the wealthier you are, the more likely you are to be open. And this is what has been discovered. If there was ever any doubt, if your families are making less than $100,000 a year, most likely you are in distance learning. If your families are making over $200,000 a year, nobody's in distance learning. You're half either hybrid or half in person.
Wow. Well,
it's not surprising, but the work has now been done, so there's no question about it, right? And here's the state map. California has actually done a map now, which finally showed up on their website today. And for example, it's got West Contra, Costa and distance learning only. And that was last updated on the 8th, but we don't have a COVID safety plan. And we've got our list of the COVID funds we received, which was $57 million. And these are, once again, the ones that are in dark blue are open, and the ones that are in yellow are not.
I finally got this information. You can really see.
It took forever.
It
For them, really, right? And there's more and more information coming up about it, right? Tomorrow on Tuesday, the California Assembly is going to have a big hearing on school reopening. So that is an interesting fact that's about to happen. So we'll see where they land. Then the only other, there were a couple of things that happened that have nothing to do with school reopening. In Coachella Valley, their superintendent, a young Latina, Maria Gandera, resigned and said like she was leaving that day, which was very sudden. And at the same time that she resigned, there were two people on her staff who got arrested for some very serious things. So the Coachella Valley has had its own issues, but this is the one issue that I thought was the most interesting. And Placencia, Yorba Linda, they've decided not to record and publish their board meetings. So they're having them, but there's no recording of the board meeting. And it's not on Facebook, it's not on YouTube, it's not on Zoom. They are meeting in person. And so now people are coming in, community members are coming in and putting it on their own Facebook page.
Sure.
Right? But here's one of their board members. This is Leandra Blades. And Miss Blades,
oh my,
look at her.
right.
Miss Blades was at the insurrection at the Capitol on the 6th of January.
Wow.
She's an elected school board member. She was elected in December. And she's a very strong Trump supporter. She's certainly not a believer in masks. And she was there. So there's a lot of conversation down in her district about both things, about making sure that they are that they put their meetings up online, and also there's an effort to there's a recall effort against her personally, which may or may not happen.
Wow, that's really something.
It just shows there's a lot of, California's a big place. Lots of things, lots of different people here.
Yeah.
This was the other night at the West County board meeting. They had this I thought was the most interesting map. This is a social vulnerability index by zip code of Contra Costa County. And it tells you exactly how many cases, what the infection rate is by city, and the social vulnerability of our different communities.
Yep. And the high
Yep.
poverty areas are, of course,
Vulnerable.
most vulnerable.
I mean, it's right there. So you had an interesting meeting the other night. Tell us about what's happening at the county.
Yes, at the county, we also, COVID was the big topic in our superintendent's report. We had the county came and talked to us about the latest research, etc., from the county office, and the progress, and just how to get good information, and the vaccines that are coming out. And so they just wanted to have a summary of scientific facts on COVID-19 and the schools, on the schools. So there was a lot of great information, the current information. What I thought was really great was thing to keep in mind is they call it the Swiss cheese. Yeah.
Yes, there was a Swiss cheese slide.
And it tells you what the role of vaccines is in safe schools. And you have these slices of Swiss cheese, that the COVID can get through the holes. But if it goes through all of these different things, by the time you get to the Swiss cheese, of course, it can't get through to the people, to the person. But there are things that we all know: physical distancing, masks,
Right.
hygiene, not touching your face, staying away from crowds, the testing, good ventilation, good government messaging, and
Right.
quarantine and isolation. Of course, the last slice is the vaccines. And so what they're saying, because it did sound to me like they were saying, okay, we can open all the schools. But like we saw, all schools are not created equal. So, so they were saying, in other words, if you have all of these precautions in place, then you can open safely. There is a way to open safely, so. And of course, pushing the vaccines, everybody really wants that. We passed a resolution to also prioritize teachers in the for the vaccine as well. So that we did one from our board. The one also came out from CSBA, but this was from the County Office of Ed board. So we did that, and so it's always, things are changing every day. And this afternoon we might have more news about
That's right.
our schools opening.
That's right. The governor is going to make an announcement. And as I said, there's going to be the hearing next week. But what's interesting, I know that San Ramon and Orinda in Contra Costa County, San Ramon and Orinda opened this week, right?
Yes, they did.
Because, and what that means is that the county has met the infection level that allows you to open. That's what that comes down to. And that's all very good news. I mean, it means that we've, at least the cases are going down, and it looks like, we can look forward to something. The problem is the schools that have opened are the ones that have the most resources and can do things like make sure that their classes are small enough so that they can be in the cohorts they need to be in and be separated. And they also have the ability to have medical teams, nurses, right, available for kids. And also, their testing protocols are in place. And that's why the numbers we looked at before, right? The school districts where children come from higher income families, those districts are not struggling the way districts with lower income children are. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So that's why, we mentioned the hubs. Those hubs would really help to close that gap.
Yeah.
And even beyond, if everybody, if we're on full time, those students are still going to need that extra help for sure.
And people need to know about the hubs. So different communities have operated the hubs in different ways, and I'm beginning to understand that one of the reasons that maybe we haven't had as much success in filling every slot or having waiting lists is most of our community members don't know that we have the hubs. Right. And what they're doing is inviting people to the hub, which is a totally different strategy.
Yeah.
Right. Than saying, oh no, we're going to open hubs. Everybody who wants to, please send us your information. Right. And instead, if you're saying, no, we're only going to open it to certain children from certain schools and only the children who seem to be struggling, and we're going to, reach out to each of them individually, that's going to slow down.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And you only have certain number of slots for school, and sometimes they're far away. They need to be more accessible to our most vulnerable.
We haven't tried that. And that's the thing. I think when they're looking at the hubs and say, well, they're not working, I don't think we've really tried it.
No, just got a few samples out there, that's all. So,
and very few people know about it.
Well, we've talked about it.
Well, except of course the people who watch us.
That's the question I had. So at this last board meeting, there was no discussion about the hubs, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it was referred to just fleetingly, and there was not a major discussion. It did come up once, and the one time it did come up, I believe it was Mr. Aurelio who was doing the presentation, or if somebody had said. Had pointed out that there had been a meeting the day before, the DL CAPS meeting, and at that meeting it had come out that there were openings at the hubs. But I didn't attend that meeting, so I don't know if anybody asked the question of how they did their outreach, because I think that's the core issue with why they're having openings at the hubs. But that did not happen as far as I could see. Yeah. So they were still wondering why they have, why they're not catching on.
Well, so I'm going to keep talking about it for sure.
Yes, we're going to keep talking about it, and maybe the academic subcommittee will take that on, because they've taken on some other things, and now that we have an academic subcommittee that's back in action.
Did they announce the date for the next meeting of that committee?
It's not till they had a meeting on Monday, so then it's next month is their next meeting. I think it's on the second or the third Monday of every month.
And the second really important thing was about the county support in terms of social emotional learning. So I thought this was really great. So it went through the things that they do and they have done. But they've got this training called the 3R training series. And it's to facilitate as schools open, it's to look at the kind of traumas then that the schools are going to have to deal with. So for instance, this turnaround, and Costa, the county are partnering to offer a 4-part series for teams of educators from our schools, planning for school reopening and incorporating whole school design into their LCAPs. To return to in-person learning, it'll be critical that educators design and establish calm, safe, supportive environments and experiences for their children that support each and every student with strength, humanity, and confidence. I just thought that was, so it's like helping with the transition to deal with the trauma of this. This is wonderful. The problem I have, I taught in Martinez in Pittsburgh. You get this flyer and gee, that would be nice. And so it's the audience, the accessibility, how many people are going. So I was said, is this for teachers? And it's not necessarily, it's more for the support uh, uh, staffs that who deal with it, like counselors or your um, other people that are helping with, with the students, different kinds of needs, and maybe the special ed teacher, whoever is doing the additional help for students.
Right.
So, and that it's, I think it's mostly free, but it's, they have a nominal fee. And it's designed for district reopening teams of about 3 to 5 people. So it's going to start March the 1st and it's going to go through March 15th. Well, there's another session, February 22nd. It's an introduction to, to the whole process. So it's, I think it's really good. I think it's really necessary. And it really is, looking forward. It's,
That's a good
so
thing.
isn't that great? So I'm going to talk more about it as I get more information about it, because we definitely need to participate in that.
Absolutely. And more people need to know. I mean, all of the kinds of training that can give folks support are things that we want to highlight and encourage everyone to participate in, right? Parents and all the different levels of support. We had another presentation at, let's see if I can find this one, back to my screen.
I'll send that to you too, so you could post it.
Sure. Okay. So if I go back here we go. The other presentation, so we had, actually, we didn't really talk much about the arts the other night, but there was, the parents in West Contra Costa have, people want their children back in school. So this is, there is now a group called WCC, West Contra Costa Safe Open Schools, and they have started a group, and they also attended the, had a couple of people speak who had attended the meeting, who are trying to find answers to when the school district will reopen. And that really is a parent group, just, and it's a version of a group that exists in a number of other cities. I did want to talk about best practices in Oakland. Oakland has on its board agenda reparations for Black students, a resolution for reparations. And that might be certainly something that the county might want to look at, as well as other school districts, West Contra Costa in particular. I think it's a really powerful resolution that also really challenges districts who have said that they support their Black students to do it. West Contra Costa is doing it because they've got their Office of African American Student Success. But I think that this might be another step forward in how they respond to the needs of their Black students in particular. So I recommend this. This is here, going to be on the Trello. Anybody who wants to can read their reparations for Black students resolution. Privatization. This is Arizona. For whatever reason, the privatizers of the world, the voucher people, and certainly the charter school folks have targeted Arizona for a number of years, and they've lost at the ballot box, but they come back, and they're coming back again. They just lost and I guess it was last year, but there is a plan to reintroduce legislation that will take money out of the public sector and give it to the private schools and the charter schools and as vouchers. So if you follow anything or have any interest in it, SOS Save Our Schools Arizona is really the leader in fighting them. Then I just wanted to say this, our representative, Mark Desogne, he is now chair of the Education and Labor Subcommittee, the subcommittee on health, employment, labor, and pensions. So that's a big deal. He is the chair of that committee. And when I heard that, it made me think of our take action, right?
Yes. Oh,
Yes, we need to meet with him.
everybody write
He
letters.
he is the guy
Yes, the
who
guy.
can do something about this,
All right. So that'll be
right?
all-
This is exactly what we're talking about, right? And this is it. They're saying here, feel the excitement because you want to find your representative. Well, our representative is the one who's in charge of this now. So we can look forward to trying to find ways to get some fairness into this system so that we can successfully recruit second career teachers.
Yes, and that opens up the pool of teachers, and we don't have to resort to TFAs who are not
Exactly.
trained and who are just there for the short time, but we really want dedicated teachers.
So that's a big step, and I'm not sure that he understands it that way. So we need to let him know.
I don't think most people do. Yeah.
Most people don't see it. The test waiver, this is the other thing, CTA is working on this, and that is that we have sign a petition so that there be no tests this year because somebody, obviously, we're looking at how inequitable the resources have been for education this year for children. So there should not be some grand testing scheme. We need to really rethink the whole testing program in general. So CTA has that petition for everybody to sign. And these folks at Education Deans for Justice and Equity, they have sent a letter about the same topic. And these are higher education deans who are saying that they are a nationwide alliance of current and former education deans and chairs of education institutions, saying how important it is that there not be testing this year as in the past.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, it is definitely a big movement.
And just re-examining the whole testing issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So finally, the big shout out here is to these folks. Food Services passed yesterday 10 million meals that they have served during the pandemic. They did a Trustee Othery Christian, who was a member of the support team in West Contra Costa, asked for a proposal or a presentation on food services to be on the last agenda. And this was the presentation. It was incredible to see how much work they have done. So this is our food service staff themselves and what they had to do in order to, they weren't doing this at all. They totally had to recreate everything that they were doing. They're going to be up to 15 million by the end of April. It's another picture. So it's not just the food services who were thanked, but also the maintenance and operations folks, the custodial folks, all of the safety teams and the CSOs,
Yes.
and our nurses.
Oh, that's great.
Right? Who are all part of this effort to make sure that that our families could get 10 million meals. And the other thing about these meals that I just wanted to highlight is look where the food came from, right? So they're also the teams, the business services teams, all the administrators at the sites, they had to help coordinate it, the families and our students, and of course our board and volunteers, but also the vendors, including Conscious Kitchen. Many of the foods that we're now able to provide our families are organically grown and fresh, and probably more than we had before. So it's a real tribute to the food services team, to Barbara Jellison. I will just call her out here as well. She's the leader of that team. She's worked tirelessly for years. And the fact that she's past 10 million, on her way to 15 million meals, that's an unbelievable accomplishment. So she's my shout out.
Good. Well, I have the shout out and the joke if we're ready for it.
Okay, well, we're ready. Let's get to.
Okay.
Are we, oh, no, I have one more shout out. Let me add one more in here. The other one was to these folks, also a food thing.
Oh, yeah.
West County Digs. They've been growing food. They grow food with our kids and teach them how to, and they're still working. They're still working and putting fresh food on the table of our families. And
Do you know if where the gardens are? Are they using our school gardens or they have their own?
well, I think they're using the big one that was up by Adams.
Okay, okay.
And I don't know if they're using the school gardens. That's a really good question.
Yeah, it's something.
The only other one I had here, if anybody really is interested in the Justice Coalition, there's a budget justice coalition in Contra Costa County, which discusses the budget as a moral document. And they're talking about the Contra Costa County supervisor's budget. Which I think is also, you get a shout out for doing that. Contra Costa County is working hard and needs to be, commended for their work on equity. And that's one of them. But very few other counties have a budget justice coalition.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And now,
Very good. Oh,
from
yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah. Before that, I have a quick shout out to
Sure.
Miss Schmaltz, who teaches at Richmond High School. She teaches
Mhm.
a study class because I shouted out also at the county board meeting because we passed the resolution on Women's History Month for March. And I just wanted to share that mostly because I got a letter over a year ago from a student who took that class, and she said it changed her life, and that she really feels strongly that every girl at high school, should take this class, that it was that empowering for her. And she addresses some very touchy topics, the language of silence and speaking up, the media portrayal of women, feminism, intersectionality, sexism in the workplace, and rape culture, abortion, all kinds of things that she said she creates safe space in case any of those are triggering topics for students. And that's much like we also discussed in the social emotional learning, how you kind of need to integrate that trauma care in your academics. You're going to have to do that, so that was kind of an example of that. And see what else, I just wanted to announce that next Friday, we have the Concilio Latino meeting, so I hope people will come to that. We have a representative coming from Nancy Skinner's office and also from someone from Catholic Charities. Just go on our website, West County Concilio Latino, and all the information is there. And then our joke here.
Here it is.
Here we go. Here comes our joke. Okay, so it's going to be the year of the ox. Oh, okay, a Chinese New Year joke.
A Chinese New Year's joke.
What do you-
Carlos is always on timely. He is connected.
know.
Today is Chinese. Today is the first day of the year of the ox.
Oh, it is. Oh my God.
Yes. See, Carlos knew.
He's on it. So what do you call an educated ox without an education?
I don't know.
An oxymoron.
Ah.
That's good.
Oh, thank you, Carlos. Thank you again. Okay, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week. Maybe next week we'll have a whole plan to open schools in California. We will see.
Okay, bye everybody.
Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to end the recording.